Hello, I'm at Canary Wharf and I've just come down today to have a little look in the London Museum of Docklands, because now it's called London Museum and not the Museum of London. But I was just standing here eating a packet of crisps and I thought, I know, this might make a little short video, because if you've ever seen the film The Long Good Friday with Bob Hoskins and Helen Mirren, there's a bit in the film, or a couple of bits of the film, where the main character, Harold Shand, brings his yacht, not that one over there, into the dock space. And basically this is the area that they bring it into. And the only thing that actually remains from that time are the buildings that the London Museum is in, which are warehouses that date from the 1800s. So that's your location finder really for the film. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a walk down and get as close as I can to where bits of the film were done. So bear with me. I don't know why I say bear with me, because it doesn't make any sense, but technically speaking I'm stopping, pausing. You can just see a Docklands Light Rail train just pulling out of Canary Wharf station, which is inside this blocks here. So all of this lot, obviously, apart from the 1800s warehouses, wasn't here when they did the film, which was filmed I think between 1978 and 79, but it wasn't released until I think actually 1981 because of technical problems, funding, this, that and the other. So the Harold Shand, who's the main character, played by Bob Hoskins, his yacht comes in and berths over here at the far end. Like I said, nothing you can see here apart from the older buildings was here. And in fact, what was down the end, where it says, let's just zoom in, where it says Spire London, that end is where they get out, pretty much, where the ship is berthed up. And what was actually here back then was some old metal sheds, which would have dated from, I guess, the 40s or 50s. That arch you can see, the only thing that's actually original out of that, I think, is the actual ship itself. That used to be one of the entrances into the docks here. So this is, if I'm right, this is West India Quay, I think. I don't know, I'd have to, well, it's Canary Wharf, but West India Quay. If I've got that wrong, I do apologise. Again, unscripted. So yes, you can see that, in fact, this is going up. Now that's a new building, obviously. But in fact, what actually sat on that site until probably, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, thereabouts, was actually one of the first Docklands buildings, or early Docklands buildings, and it was a Barclays. Not necessarily a high street bank, but like a sort of banking division, small scale building. And that's gone. So it shows you how quickly things can develop and then redevelop. You used to be able to walk on that side there, but that's all been taken over. I assume that's the arch is going to be part of the development, but who knows. So yes, the Harold Shand's yacht comes in through here and docks up about there. Now I'm wondering whether I can get to the bits that's in the distance. Let me just focus in on that. So that building that you can see here straight ahead of you, just set back, that is definitely in the film. And at ground level there is some chain link fencing, and that's where the sort of cars come in on a particular scene. If you haven't seen the film, then it means absolutely nothing to you, but you might want to see the film now, I don't know. So I'm just going to walk onto the other side, so I'm just going to pause the camera whilst I'm doing that. So I'm now on the footbridge that you saw earlier on, looking down towards that building which has got the illuminated bit that says Big Easy on it. That is where the Elizabeth line station is, I think. So yes, it is quite staggering just how much this area's changed. But I mean, you are looking at, what's that, 1980, thereabouts when the film came out. It's 45 years ago. So, I mean, the first generation of Docklands buildings, including Canary Wharf Tower itself, is what, 1990s, mid 1990s. So it just keeps growing, and where it doesn't grow as something new, they just knock something down and start again, like that over there. The general scale is upwards, which when you look at these warehouse buildings from the 1800s, they are fairly small scale, but back in their day they would have been considered tall buildings. I was right, it is West India Quay, because it says on the side of that building there. This is all apartments, restaurants. That's what this area is all about now. It's as it always has been, really, I suppose. It was about money. It's about making money. This here is a boy. How do you know it's not a girl? These cranes that you can see are original. They will probably date from actually only the 1950s, strangely enough. They didn't really have that much of a life until they came out of action. So this particular dock system here, I think, really did sort of wrap up by the early to mid 70s with containerisation, etc. Everything moved further down the river, and so all this lot just sat waiting for something to happen, which eventually it did. So I'm just moving. We're going to get wind noise on there, and I'm really sorry about that. Now, I could be completely wrong, I probably am, but I'm sure that the builder involved with these warehouse buildings is Cubit. Could be wrong. But like I said, these are apartments now with restaurants in the bottom. So just moving towards museum. Can walk through. There used to be a statue here. There's someone connected with the docks or trade. I don't know why they've gone. I don't know whether it's been a cancel culture thing. We've got actually a history board here. I'll tell you all about it. There we go. North Quay. And that's the buildings I was talking about earlier. That there is the Ledger House, which is a Wetherspoons now, and it has been for quite some time. So like I said, that's the museum. So this building here definitely appears in the film. It's well in shot, and like I said, where these plazas are, I think that's with the line of where they had the chain link fence. It's all a bit nerdy what I'm doing at the moment, really. But if you've seen the film, then it's always nice to sort of come to the place where they did it. But it's just the irony is with that film is that the main thing that the main character is trying to do is to get involved with property and redevelopment of the docks, and of course that was all well before it actually happened. But in the film they talk about the 1988 Olympics taking place on the docks, which of course it didn't. It took place in Seoul in Korea, South Korea. So that was the Ledger building back there, sorry about that. And then you've got a whole lot of other buildings which are the Canon workshops, and then you've got a administration building there. I'm saying that rather than getting it completely wrong. So yes, so it's about here where all the action takes place, cars turn up, etc. and yeah, I'm just taking it in because it just keeps changing. That building over there that's called Point A, I can't remember that going up. But there again, I don't come here as often as I did. I used to live in North East London, so I used to come here fairly regularly. It's a nice information board here. A guided tour here at the moment, so I'm just going to try and avoid that. I'll give you a shot of that, just as a bit of content. So there you go. I could be a bit cheeky and just go and listen to what the guided tour is going on about, but I won't, because that's very cheeky. You can see these buildings have got real character, a real history, and it's nice to see that they haven't been messed about with too much. I don't know whether, presumably they're listed, but I mean there's so much that went that could have been probably listed. I mean, this in itself, just this tiny little bit of feature here, the door, an undercroft, set of steps, windows with the door. But this would have been, at its time, a state-of-the-art building. You may find that amusing, but it would have been, because its job was to do a job to do with the trade of import and export. Well, mainly import, coming in from the West Indies. And all the things connected. You've got some dock posts here, which are original. Try and get across the road to see those. You'll end up walking all the way to Stratford at this rate. I'm not careful. Joking. So yes, these would have had gates across. At the time of the filming of Long Good Friday, almost certainly there would have been gates across here. It would have been a very different looking place, and this Cineworld cinema wouldn't have been there. I mean, people have done videos on this building's quite fantastic as well. Another administration building. They have the Port of London Authority details on the top there as a big crest. So yeah, people have done videos on this. I'm sure you can find countless examples, and where someone's probably been very clever and they've merged then and now together. The only thing about doing videos like that, and like this really, I suppose, is that because Docklands is constantly evolving, nothing really is permanent, and so whatever you film is usually going to be out of date within a few years, because something else has gone up or come down. But hopefully these buildings that I'm filming at the moment will stay. If they don't stay, then that would be a terrible shame. But I mean, to be honest with you, hopefully those listings that they've got will keep them safe. Unlike all that stuff up there, which won't be listed. I don't even know. I can imagine a time when Canary Wharf Tower will end up being listed, but to be honest with you, nothing is very certain. So anyway, I'm now into waffle territory, so I'm going to sign off there, and thank you for watching.